मैम सैटरडे को टेस्ट में कौन सा चैप्टर आएगा?
लोग आज तो 1857 रिवोल्ट होने वाला था ना, ठीक है। चलिए मैं बुक निकाल ली हूँ, मैं पूछने जा रही हूँ, 1 by 1 आंसर देना। किसी को बोलते सुनना ना बेटा, तो वो रुक जाना। दूसरे मान लो क्या ये साक्ष
लाएगा
मैम आवाज आ रहा है।
साक्षी राज के इससे आवाज आ रही है।
मैम सैटरडे की टेस्ट में कौन सा चैप्टर आएगा?
यस मैम।
प्लीज बाकी सब म्यूट कर लीजिए और जिससे बोलना है वो अपना माइक अनम्यूट करके बोलेगा। चलिए मैं क्वेश्चन निकालती हूँ, एक सेकंड। Describe the course of revolt. Describe the course of revolt. Start करो।
The Paul broke out revolt at Meerut in April 1857. They refused to use the greased cartridges. They were court-martialed and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. The regiments in Meerut also revolted on May 10, 1857 and released the imprisoned soldiers. They marched to Delhi on May 11, 1857 and rebelled under Bahadur Shah Zafar II.
Next. एक ही क्वेश्चन।
Boys broke out into an open revolt at Meerut. They refused to touch the greased cartridges. They were court-martialed and sentenced for 10 years imprisonment. On May 10, 1857, they broke open the prison and also released the imprisoned soldiers. They marched to Delhi and rebelled under Bahadur Shah Zafar II, the Mughal emperor.
Okay, right. Mine. अच्छा, anyone spell court-martialed? मुझे
yes ma'am
COURTMARTIALED.
ओके ठीक है। अच्छा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। कोई दूसरे बच्चे बोलेंगे, अभी सृजा और रवि का मत बोलना। जब सबके हो जाएंगे बारी बारी से 1 by 1, तब फिर दूसरे बोले हुए बच्चे भी बोल सकते हैं। फिलहाल ओके, सौम्या, आयुष और कृति ने रेज हैंड किया है, तो ठीक है। डिस्क्राइब 5 मेन कॉजेज ऑफ द रिवोल्ट। आयुष बोलो।
Income and excessive not allowed created a fear among Indian rulers. They were not allowed to adopt heirs to the throne if they didn't have any natural heirs. The British signed many treaties with the kings, but violated them as per their convenience. The economic pressure. The zamindari system exploited the peasants. They were forced to grow only those crops that the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian markets. See, social and religious causes. The social reforms by the Britishers were considered interference in the customs and the tradition of Hindus. The spread of railways created further fear among the poor and illiterate sections of the society. Many Indians opposed the introduction of Western education and conversion of Indian to Christianity.
Okay, Ayush. Now Ayush.
Someone.
बोलो आयुष।
1 point more. 2 points more.
Ma'am, causes of revolt of first war of independence. First, political cause. The policy of annexation of Dalhousie, particularly the doctrine of lapse, created fear among Indian rulers. They were not allowed to adopt heir to the throne if they did not have natural heirs. The British signed many treaties with the kings but violated them as per convenience. Economic causes. The zamindari system exploited the peasants. They were forced to grow only those crops that the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian market. This destroyed Indian industries and made the artisans and peasants unemployed. Social and economic causes. The social reforms by the British were considered an interference in the customs and traditions of the Hindus. The spread of railways created
Yeah,
further
yaar,
fear
but
among the poor and illiterate section of the society that they would lose their caste. Many Indians opposed the introduction of Western education and conversion of Hindu Indians to Christianity. Military causes.
ma'am,
The sepoys that helped the British to establish their empire in India, but instead of receiving awards or promotion, they were humiliated by the British. There was discrimination between the Indian and the British soldiers. The highest pay to an Indian soldier as Subedar was less than the minimum pay of a European recruit. Immediate causes. The cartridges of new inbuilt rifle had a greased paper cover which had to be bitten off before the cartridge was loaded into the rifle. It was said that the grease composed of beef and pig fat. Both the Hindus and Muslims refused to use them as cow was sacred to Hindu and pig was detestable to the Muslims.
ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Soumya will say.
My 2 points are left, ma'am. I want to speak.
Kritir, you want to say something?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, मेरा 2 points रह गया. Ma'am, military causes और
अच्छा, कृतिर बोलने के बाद सौम्या बोलेगी. बोलो कृतिर.
ma'am, सिर्फ दो.
मैम आयुष को ही है.
Ma'am, someone
Roy turn
was
push.
a political cause. The policy of annexation of Dalhousie created fear among the Indian rulers. They were not allowed to adopt High to the throne. If they didn't have any natural heirs, the British signed many treaties with the kings, but violated them as per their convenience. B. Economic cause. The zamindari system exploited the peasants. They were forced to grow only those crops that the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian markets. C. Social and religious causes. The social reforms by the British were considered interference in the customs and the tradition of Hindus. The spread of railways created further fear among the poor and illiterate sections of the society. Many Indians opposed the introduction of Western education and the conversion of Indian to Christianity. D. Military causes. The sepoys had helped the British to establish their empire in India, but instead of receiving awards or promotion, they were humiliated by the British. There was a discrimination between the Indian and the British soldiers. The highest pay given to an Indian sepoy as Subedar was less than the minimum pay of European recruit. E. Immediate causes. The cartridges of the new infilled rifle had a greased paper cover, which had to be bitten off before the cartridge was loaded into the rifle. It was said that the grease composed of beef and pig fat. Both the Hindu and Muslims refused to use them, as the cow is sacred to the Hindus and the pig is detestable to the Muslims.
Okay. चलो सौम्या 8G. सौम्या बोलो.
Political causes. The policy of annexation of Dalhousie created fear among the Indian rulers. They were not allowed to adopt heir to the throne if they didn't have natural heirs. The British signed many treaties with the Indian rulers but violated them as per their convenience. Economic causes. The zamindari system exploited the peasants. They were forced to grow only those crops that the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian markets. Social and religious cause. The social reforms by the British were considered as an interference in the customs and traditions of the Hindus. The spread of railway created further fear among the poor and illiterate sections of the society. Many Indians opposed the introduction of Western education and the conversion of Hindus to Christianity. Military causes. The highest pay given to a Subedar was less than the minimum pay of a European recruit. The Act of 1856 made it compulsory for new Indian recruits to serve overseas. Immediate causes. The cartridges of the new Enfield rifle had grease paper cover which had to be bitten off before it was loaded into the gun rifle. It was said that the grease composed of beef and pig fat. Both the Hindus and the Muslims of, both the Hindus and the Muslims refused to use it as the cow is sacred to the Hindus and the pig is detestable to the Muslims.
Okay, I am changing the question. My next question is, what changes were made? Acha, you were given some specific questions that only 5 or only 6 you have given.
No, ma'am, we were given all the questions of this chapter.
Okay. Then, what changes were made in the administration of India after the revolt was suppressed? What changes were made when the revolt was suppressed? British made which type of changes? Why only Kritil, Soumya and Sreja? Rest of the people? Srishti 8A, Tanushka 8C, अंशिका बोलो.
Yes, ma'am. First, the rule of the East India Company ended with Queen Victoria's proclamation of November 1, 1858. Second, she assumed the title of the Empress of India. Third, the British Crown took over the administration of India. Fourth, a Secretary of State was appointed by the British Parliament to look after the government. General was given the title of Viceroy, the representative of the British Crown.
Okay, now Srishti 8A.
The rule of the East India Company ended the Queen Victoria's proclamation of November 1848, assumed the title of Empress of India. Third, the British Crown took over the administration of India. Fourth, a Secretary of State was appointed by the British government to look after the governance of India. Fifth, the Governor General was given the title of Viceroy.
Okay, next who will say? Sreja.
Yes, ma'am.
Bolo.
The rule of the East India Company ended with the proclamation of Queen Victoria's proclamation in 1858. She assumed the title of Empress of India. The British Crown took over the rule of India, the administration of India. A Secretary of State was appointed by the British Parliament to look after the governance of India. The Governor General was given the title Viceroy, the representative of the British Crown.
Mama.
तनुष्का आपके लिए क्वेश्चन है, why is the revolt of 1857 called the first war of independence? What were its immediate cause? Tanushka.
The revolt of 1857 was called the First War of Independence because it was the first time when the different sections of Indian society united and fought as a one nation to throw off the shackles of foreign domination. From 1757 onward, they won almost every battle against the Indian ruler and kept on expanding their area under their control. Finally, 100 years later, in 1857, a number of Indians revolted against the exploitation.
Right. अब कौन बोलेगा? कोई अलग बच्चा बोलो. देखो
Ma'am, may I try?
नहीं, कोई और. अच्छा, फैजान कुछ नहीं बोलता है. फैजान, फैजान तो देख रहे हैं कि सारा लिख के दिखा रहे हो. फैजान, फैजान सुन रहे हो? फैजान कहाँ गायब हो गया? अच्छा, अनन्या सिंह 8A. अनन्या सिंह, अनन्या सिंह 8A.
Yes, ma'am.
हाँ, बोलो बेटा.
Yes, ma'am.
बोलो. मेरा क्वेश्चन है.
The revolt of
हाँ बोलो.
The revolt of 1857 was called the first war of the independence because it was the first time that all the different sections of Indian society came together and fight against the foreign domination. From 1757 onwards, the British almost won every battle. Finally, after the 100 years later, in 1857, number of Indians revolted against the exploitation. The cartridges of the new rifle had grease with the paper cover which has to be bitten off before the cartridges was loaded into the rifle. It was said that the grease was composed of the beef and pig fat. Both the Hindus and Muslims refused to use them as pig is detestable to the Muslim and cow is separate to the Hindu.
Okay, good. Now next question is, how did economic policies of the British adversely affect the Indian economy?
The zamindari system exploited the peasants. They were forced to grow only those crops that the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian markets. This destroyed Indian industries and made artisans and peasants unemployed.
आदित्य हंसराज, आज आप पढ़ के नहीं आए हो? आदित्य हंसराज. शानवी 8H. सानवी 8H.
Yes, ma'am.
जवाब दीजिए.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, could you please repeat the question?
How did the economic policies of the British adversely affect the Indian economy?
Ma'am, the zamindari system exploited the peasants and they were forced to grow that crops only which the British industries required. Industrial goods like textiles from Britain flooded the Indian markets, and this destroyed Indian industries and made the artisans and the peasants unemployed.
Okay. अच्छा, टाइम खत्म है. आप लोग मिला लो. इसके बोले थे ना तुम लोग कि MCQ मिलवा दीजिएगा. सब लोग मिलाओ. बोलो. The revolt of 1857 started on
10th May
1857. Next, Mangal Pandey belonged to which one of the following place?
Barakpur.
Who took over the governance of India from the East India Company after the 1857 revolt?
From the
British Parliament.
The British Parliament.
The British Parliament. Next, British Army was reorganized after the revolt of 1857
To prevent future revolts.
Yes, future revolt. The practice of looking down upon the black is known as
Racial discrimination.
racial discrimination. Next, the first war of independence is also known as
Sepoy Mutiny.
The British considered themselves
Superior.
Yes. Bahadur Shah Zafar was exiled to
Rangoon.
Lakshmi Bai wanted her lost
Kingdom.
kingdom. The doctrine of lapse.
Lapse.
Number C, true false. Bahadur Shah Zafar was proclaimed Shahanshah Hindustan. True.
True.
Kanpur, the revolt was led by Begum Hazrat Mahal. False.
False.
The British followed a policy of racial discrimination. True.
True.
The regiment in Meerut on May 10, 1850, revolted on May 10, 1857. True.
True.
A Secretary of State was appointed to look after the governance of England.
False.
ठीक है?
यस मैम।
इसमें है गवर्नेंस ऑफ इंग्लैंड लिखा हुआ, गवर्नेंस ऑफ इंडिया होता है ना।
इंडिया होगा।
स्टेट को तो अपॉइंट किया ही गया है, पर इंडिया के लिए, ना कि क्या कहते हैं, समझ ही रहे हो, इंग्लैंड के लिए। तो हो गया ये। और कल बताओ, कल चैप्टर 17 तुम लोगों ने बताया ना होमवर्क के लिए। ओके, तो कल चैप्टर 17 होगा, तो हम लोग खत्म करते हैं। ओके, आप लोग 3 बजे जरूर प्रैक्टिस करना, हाँ। वो लिंक टच करके देखना कि वो क्वेश्चन पेपर खुलता है नहीं खुलता है, कोई प्रॉब्लम आता, उसी समय फोन मत करने लगना। जो भी बात होगी हम लोग देख लेंगे, ठीक ना। चलिए,
ओके मैम।
ठीक, चलो बाय।
Bye, ma'am.